Good afternoon, Reinette.
Hello, Ken.
This is Ken Scott from Fortis Publishing, the book coach. And who are you?
I'm Reinette. I'm the, what do you call me, the coachee.
You are Miss Procrastination. And stop moving back and forward.
Oh, sorry, you did say that, sorry.
And then I've just done it. Yeah, we're on microphones, on webcams tonight, which picks up the automatic focus. And if you go like that, it knocks you out of focus. And if you come back in, it knocks you out of focus again. So we've got to be careful to sit still. Yes, another round of fight night. This is round 2 of Ken Scott from Publishing and Reinette Visser, who is attempting to write a book. And only last Friday, Reinette sent me the first 20,000 words of a novel, and I have to say, Reinette, well, I hate to say this, I love it.
Yay!
I love it.
Really?
There's not a lot I want to come in and criticize. I want to say, right now, Rhett, your characters aren't right. There's no humor. You're not doing this. You're not doing that. I tell you what, most of my subjects that I deal with, and as we were saying last week, probably collaborated on over 25 books now. 99% of the people that throw me a chapter 1, 2, 3, I've got a line of notes. This is wrong, that's wrong, the other's wrong. Now, tell our viewers, you have actually been doing some creative writing courses through the Open University. Is that right, Reinette?
Oh, I wasn't going to tell anybody about that, Ken.
But you have to now.
I have to know. I'm sort of keeping my studies a little bit under wraps. I'm studying.
Well, I'll tell you what, you're doing
writing and literature and stuff.
You're doing something right, because I was incredibly impressed with that. Now, your characters are great. I don't think we will give too much away in that you have a serial killer killing kids that nobody really is that bothered about them getting killed anyway, because they're literally the troublemakers, the dregs of society. Is that a fair adaptation? Is that a fair synopsis?
No, Shem, we can't call them the dregs of society. No, they're psychopaths. These kids they've been unofficially diagnosed as psychopaths, because if you do a bit of research about it, the cleverest people who've studied, to be psychologists and so they don't like to call somebody a psychopath, but everybody knows that if you've been diagnosed with this and this thing wrong with you, it means you're a psychopath.
Oh, got you.
And basically these kids are so horrible that even their parents, who miss them dearly and feel that they should love them because it's their kids, that the house is so much more peaceful without these kids in the home. So yeah, nobody really gives a damn that these kids are gone.
I love one of the early parts of chapter 1, I think it is, where the young kid that has obviously been kidnapped, and we've got a little bit of a silence of the lambs, the chap, the little lad, well, not so little, I think he's 17, he's kept in the cellar, but there's a great little line in there where he kind of realizes his parents bought him a motorbike for his birthday. And he says, people get killed on motorbikes. Ah, yes. And then the penny drops with him that's the reason his parents have bought him a motorbike, because they really want him dead, Yeah. So it's quite a unique start to a book, Reinette, in that we can go and flick on the old Netflix movies right at this second. And you will see hundreds and hundreds of documentaries, of films, of series, of Netflix compilations where the serial killer, and there's a serial killer on the loose, and everybody wants to catch him and bring these children back home and bring these young women back home. But your totally unique approach at it is that, nah, we're not really worried if they come back home. It is unique, Reinette.
Cheers, thank you. I don't know how it came to me. I actually don't know how it came to me. It just did. It's one of those things that we have these ideas and one of them eventually sticks and becomes a story.
Well, I'll tell you what, at great beginnings, as I say, normally at this stage in dealing with with students, with clients, with subjects, whatever you want to call them. Normally at this point in time, I'm jumping in and sort of saying where you're going wrong and all that. I have to say, I haven't seen any of that. I love your humour in the book as well. I mean, you're not the normally funny, jokey. You're normally a rather dour South African, but you've really, you've really brought some unexpected humour to this book.
You talk such rubbish.
I mean, you know, what do you mean I talk such rubbish? You were talking gangbangs in last week's recording.
Oh, whatever. We can move on from that now.
And my God, have we had some abuse from people on that. But anyway, no, absolutely no problems whatsoever. I was very, very pleased that you got your words over to me when you said you did. And also, the only thing I haven't got is the first 10 chapter titles that I requested.
Yeah, no, you didn't get those.
Why not, Reinette?
I can't remember what those first 10 chapters are.
Well, when was the last time you read your 20,000 words?
When I wrote them.
How long ago was that?
This time last year.
You what?
I've sort of had other stuff on the go.
No, I mean, this is, I'll tell you, I'm going to go into a little bit of my frustration as a writer. I've been writing professionally now for about 16 years. There's two things that frustrate the shit out of me. One is when you get somebody like Victoria Beckham or Jordan deciding to write a novel and it goes to #1 in the Sunday Times bestseller list, even though you know they haven't even written it and even though it's crap. But the other thing that infuriates me, that leaves me so frustrated, and I've had a lot of it, is people send me something very, very good and they don't finish it. It doesn't get to the end of a book. Now, I'm not one to criticize because you threw me something very, very good across. But honestly, Reinette, it's a year since you looked at it. I
know. Well, which is sort of why we're doing this, because it's apparent that I need to kick up the arse. Eh?
I think that's an understatement.
Yeah.
But I kind of believe that in that year you haven't been bored one wet Wednesday afternoon and say, I'll just have a look at that again. What is it you think that you've shelved that for a year? Why have you shelved such a good project for a year? If you were like, let's say a bad example, but if you were putting together an IKEA flat pack double wardrobe with glass fronted mirrors and things, and you got to like halfway and nothing had went wrong and you hadn't lost any screws and all that, you wouldn't just push it into a spare room and forget about it. You'd want to finish it. Do you see what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
You want to fit. I can understand anybody that writes 20,000 words and says, what a load of garbage in a drawer for a year. I look at it in a year. But I cannot understand anybody that has written something so good. And I have to tell you this as well, your end chapters, your tease on your end chapters are fantastic. Fantastic. Right at the end, your last line, and that is a skill, your last line, I want to say, well, what's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? So, you know, what have you got to say? Why haven't you picked it up for a year?
Well, I'll tell you why. I haven't painted myself into a corner with it, but I've literally sort of lost the plot a little bit. In as much as I've sort of got to a point where I can sort of picture the ending. I've sort of got a rough ending, but there's one little spot that I can't work out how. There's one loose angle, and I can't work out how to tie that up without having like a Deus Ex Machina ending, which people are going to see right through it. But Oh, that's sort of, I just thought, it'll come to me, but now for a year long, it hasn't come to me. But I have, in the meantime, started thinking about starting to use my Fortis publishing story cards, and to start, maybe if I've been writing things down and I can't get it, like I can't write a summary or a little point thingy, and I can't picture it in my head. But maybe if I've got the actual story cards in my hand and I
Listen,
go,
brilliant. Explain to our viewers, our listeners on the podcast, explain what story cards are, because I think that's a good idea.
Story cards are, we've got a pack of story cards. It's almost like a pack of playing cards, and you've got your element cards, plot cards, character cards, and editing cards. So the element cards are, they're the nitty-gritty things to remind you of the sort of things that go into a story. And then the plot cards are, you can use it for your main plot, and you can use it for all your little subplots that you've got going through the story. And it literally tells you, that's what those of us who are not Stephen King, Stephen King, he sort of gets his characters into a mess and then just writes his way out of it. And I write like that a bit, but the way I've done that now got me to this point where I don't know any further. So now I actually need a bit of help. So the story card sort of said, if you follow the 3-act plot, card number 1, do this. Card number 2, do this. Card number 3, now do this. Now do this. And it makes me think of the next thing that needs to happen in my story.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think I've got the point where my sort of writing by the seat of my pants kind of writing has got me to a point where I can't go any further. So now I actually need to pack out my cards and just see, okay, that's where I'll go next. I think that's what I'll do.
Now, it's funny you should say that, because there's a lot of script writers use story cards. And again, it's as you've explained, it's literally, I suppose, keeping an eye on the plot. And as you're writing chapter 4 and 5, you kind of have a rough idea, because of your story cards, what 6 and 7 is going to be like. I've got you, yeah. So, I mean, they're great. So what you're saying to me is that now you've had this bright idea of your story card, then the words are going to flow, because you're going to be able to build your chapter. Now, just to tell you, I never know I've written about 4 or 5 fiction novels now. I never know what the end's going to be. I never know what the last third of the book's going to be. I've got an idea of what it's going to be all about, but I never really have a clue. The idea of the plot comes to me when I'm on the keyboard, to be perfectly honest. But if story cards work for you, then they work for you. Am I right in thinking as well we can buy story cards from Fortis? Yeah,
it's fortispublishing.co.za. There's a link on the website.
Okay, so for anybody listening in on podcast, would you say that's probably a nice way to start a novel if you don't know what the beginning, the end, and the middle is going to be? A story card's a nice way to do. Do you have little cards for your characters so you can just? All right.
Yeah, I'll share. Look, I don't want people to get the impression that the only reason we're doing this is so that we can sell them story cards. I'm just saying, from my point of view, I've got to the point where I think I need them, and we are selling them, so I'll just mention them to people. Characters. Let's have a look. Character arcs.
Okay.
And then we can talk about the characters. Never got my character here. What are the physical? I don't use the story card so much for physical to remind me about physical attribution, psychological, the interpersonal things. I use it more for what is the big question? What is the actual big question? What is the error? What is the fix? Now, what that is, and I think that's where I need to go. And Stephen King talks about this a lot as well. Like each character should have that one thing that the character thinks he wants.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say I was writing a romance. My main character may think that she wants to have a man in her life and to marry. That if she marries Mr. Handsome, Mr. Charming, Mr. Right, that will solve everything that's wrong in her life and make her a happy person. So that's the big, that's what she thinks she wants. And then she goes about trying to set that in motion. And that normally leads to all the wrong things. Like she might get involved with all the wrong men, and she can't understand, what's going on in her life. Then we need to lead this character to understand that what she thinks she wants may not be what she really needs. She thinks she wants Mr. Right to make her happy. What she really needs is to find self-fulfillment and to find to start loving herself and to understand herself, kind of thing. And once she understands that, then there's the fix involved in that. And I think part of the problem of my story is, I think my characters are leaning towards being a bit flat. Because if you read those 20,000 words, I think I've built too much sort of solving the who's the serial killer, too much solving the whodunit, and maybe not enough peripheral things of, this guy's marriage is disintegrating and he's stalking his wife.
But don't worry about that at this stage. What we're trying to do is to pull a first draft together. Now, I know last week that you said, well, I want my first draft to be good and not a squiffy first draft, rough as a badger's backside like mine are. However, what we're trying to do is, and I say this to my students, what we're trying to do in a first draft is we're literally trying to build a skeleton, okay? On the second draft, we can put the internal organs in, we can put the skin on, and on even the third and fourth draft, we can put some trousers on it and a jacket, a nice scarf, and a nice hat. What we're trying to do at this stage is build your skeleton, and your skeleton is, without a shadow of a doubt, the actual plot of the novel. You've cracked your characters, okay? I love the policeman, okay? I want him to be a little bit more foul-mouthed because everybody wants to hate that policeman. But anyway, I think he's got one F word in there at the moment. So we need to develop that character, the policeman, and make him be a little bit more unlikable. I love the girl that's came in and pestering him and saying there's a serial killer on the loose. I think you've established her very, very well. But again, all of these last little couple of things that I told you, we're going to look at those in the rewrites. And a good novel can have as many as 4, 5, 6 rewrites. As you know from your editing experience, every time you look at a book that's been put on your desk and that's finished, every time you turn a page, you want to change something. You want to add something else in. And that's what rewrites are for. So I want you to forget about all that waffle you just gave me over the last 5 minutes about dressing your characters and all that sort of thing. No. I want a skeleton from you, Reinette. I need a skeleton. And you've got 20,000 words of a skeleton, which is damn sexy, if I'm honest about it. It is a great start. And you're so far ahead of a lot of people that I actually deal with. We don't get to this stage until they're about halfway, 3/4 of the way through the book. And one girl, I'll drop a name in here because she might listen to the podcast, Jessica Harrington, who has just finished her book. And she was quite frustrated throughout the first course, the first part of the book, right up to 3/4, because I kept throwing chapters back for her to rewrite. And she was going, oh, well, I must have it by now. I said, no, you haven't. You haven't. And then 3/4 of the way through the book, we got to about chapter 24. And then I sent her a little text, you've got it. And that chapter was wonderful. Now, you're 24 chapters ahead of Jessica. Jessica is just a young girl. It's her first attempt at a book. But I'm saying you're at chapter 24 now. Your writing's great. Your characters are great. All I need you to do now is to concentrate on the plot and pull the skeleton together. And I'll ask you again, and you haven't gave us them last week, I want your first 10 chapter titles. Okay, so chapter 2 might be boy in the cellar. Chapter 3 might be walking into a police station. Just we can change the titles, it's not a problem, but I just want you to get 10 chapters in your head, or maybe it's a little bit more, because you told me last week that your chapters really only run to about 1,000 words, don't they?
Yeah, between 1,000 and 2,000 words.
Okay. Well, what I want you to do is I want you to title every chapter that you've got thus far, and then I want you to give me another 5 titles by the weekend.
Okay.
And as we did last week, and we're coming up to 20 minutes now, as we did last week, we've spoke on Monday. This podcast goes out on Monday evening, tonight. You've now 4 or 5 days to get what I've asked you together, to push it to me on Friday so I can read it over the course of next weekend, and so we can discuss it next Monday. And when I come on next Monday, and we'll click on and I press the record, I want to see a big beaming smile from Reinette, because she's gave us everything I've asked for.
So nothing to write?
No, I'm not interested in this point. I think the first thing you've got to do, South African girl, is read what you've bloody written.
Yeah, okay.
That would help, wouldn't it? That would help.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
By your own admission, it's a year ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So full read of the 20,000 words, title every chapter, and then give me another 5. Can you do that?
Yes.
Okay. Right, that's us finished. For the benefit of people listening in, people watching in that want to maybe, I would love to join in this discussion. Tell them about what you proposed about Tuesdays.
Oh, yes. So what I'm thinking is on Mondays, it'll be me and Ken doing this. And that's fight night, because as you can all see, it's going to go wrong at one point. And then yes, you said I must move. And then what I thought we could do is on a Tuesday, we can have the famous gangbang, where anybody who wants to join can join in, and we'll do this. And, you know, we can talk about what you've just told me about. And if people want to come on and chat about what they're writing, or ask for advice, or, you know, show us something that they've written, or say, listen, I'm struggling with this, what do you guys propose? Then we can do that, and we can call it Right Night.
Mm-hmm. Good. And how would people come in? Would they just drop us our emails and make one? Because we don't want like 20,000 coming in, do we? Can we just select a few?
Well, let's talk about it now. What should the limit be? And should we have like a filter or a selection process whereby people have to answer 3 questions or something like that?
Good idea. As I say, I wouldn't want to see you screen a tiny little people. I think maybe it's 4 or 5 maximum. That people that are actually physically writing a book at the moment, or they've started to write a book, or they are seriously thinking about it. We don't want people that's probably the book's written and they're looking for a publisher, do we? No, do we want that?
No. Well, no, because this is really helping people to write their book. It's not, that's what this is about. And also people who would be prepared to show their faces. In other words, we're going to publish this. So if you're secretive and shy and you don't want people to see your face, you don't want to talk on camera, then what we can do is we'll record, because we're going to record it and make that available. Then people who don't want to be part of the discussion like this, they can watch the replay.
Absolutely. Okay, that's what we'll do, and we can maybe get something pushed up on the website by the weekend of just 5 or 6 lines, just what you've said. Maybe we should have something on the website of like fight night and like, yeah. I don't know, just describe what it is and what you need to do to come in. Just maybe it's 1 page. Is that a possibility? Yeah. Can you have a word with our IT guy?
Yeah, go to fortispublishing.co.za. That's Fortis, Fortis, Fortis Publishing, and we'll keep it updated. We should probably have done this before we mentioned it, but the idea is still quite fresh. So work with us, guys.
Yeah, and again, it's going out on Monday night. in probably 3 or 4 hours. Our guy edits this and then pushes it out. So yeah, I mean, you know, people's not likely to jump on tomorrow. If we have the page up and running by Thursday or Friday, then that should be okay. Okay, right, I'm signing off. It's me, Ken Scott, and it's
Reinette Visser, soon to be author, writer.
absolutely 100%. Thank you for your time today, Reinette, and we'll catch you next Monday.